My name is Karin Taylor, and I'm an education officer at Royal Botanical Gardens. If I were to play a game with you called Animal, Plant, and Mineral, and you'd have to guess what was behind my back using those clues, you'd probably have a hard time guessing. But I won't make you wait too long, because I have mushrooms. Now, mushrooms are not an animal, not a mineral, not even a plant. They belong to their own group called fungi, a very large, diverse group of organisms. About 1.5 million species in the world, but very few of those, in relation to the whole number, have been described. The other thing is that they've been on Earth for over 545 million years, playing very important roles in our ecosystems. So mushrooms aren't plants. They can't make food like plants can in their leaves. They don't have seeds like plants do. They have spores instead. And lastly, in their cell walls is not cellulose like in plants, but chitin, which is exactly what's in our fingernails and in an insect's exoskeleton. It's also what protects the spores. Sometimes people even say that mushrooms might be more closely linked to animals than plants. When you go for a walk in the forest, 2 or 3 days after it's rained, and you see mushrooms, you are only seeing the fruit or the fruiting body, sort of like an apple from an apple tree. Those mushrooms you see are only a very small part of a much larger organism underground. Mushrooms are an incredibly diverse group of organisms. As you can see, here are some mushrooms that I found at my local grocery store. Chanterelles, oyster, enoki, portobello, cremini, and baby king oyster. This is a great example to show the different shapes, sizes, colors, textures that you might find when you go to search for mushrooms out in the wild. Mushrooms might grow in the ground or on a living tree or in your garden in the grass. They might be edible, non-edible, or even poisonous. They might be huge, like a giant puffball that has been known to grow as big as sheep. There are lots of things that help identify a mushroom, including its color, its shape, the texture, whether it has gills or pores or teeth, whether it's found on a living tree, a dead branch, or the ground. When I'm on the trails and I spot a mushroom, I take a few pictures of it and make a few notes to help try to identify it when I get home. I don't pick them. Others might want to enjoy seeing them too. I mentioned that fungi, including mushrooms, produce spores, and these are just as diverse as the mushrooms are. Take a look at a spore print created by a portobello mushroom. And these spores escaping when I touch the puffball. When spores land on a good food source and start to germinate, they produce tiny threads called hyphae. And once those are numerous enough collectively, they will be called mycelium. So when you go on the trails, I hope you have a great time looking for mushrooms. And as my mother used to say, if we saw something before anybody else, you must have swamp ergon. In other words, you have mushroom eyes because you are so observant.